Our next speaker is John Brady, and next up will be Brett McMahon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'll be splitting my time with David today.
Okay.
My name is John Brady, and I'm a registered nurse. After 17 years of working at Backus Hospital in Norwich, Connecticut, I felt I could no longer care for my patients or my family properly without joining together with my coworkers and forming a union. We nurses spent several months discussing this. We began organizing with AFT Connecticut, an affiliate of the American Federation of Teachers. Management did not remain silent or neutral during this process, but fiercely argued against our forming a union. Despite daily encounters with managers who sought to impede our efforts, an overwhelming majority of regular staff nurses signed union cards. On March 21 of this year, 30 of us signed a public letter to our CEO, letting him know a majority of us wanted to collectively bargain. An attempt to demonstrate our majority to avoid the costly election process and to avoid delaying the clear will of the majority, but management flatly refused. We submitted our cards and petitioned for recognition to the NLRB on March 28. The hospital responded that they wanted an election in mid-May and wanted to include all RNs. The date the hospital chose, 8 of the 30 nurses who had signed the public letter were on a scheduled vacation. The date was well beyond the 25-day waiting period and resulted in 44 days between filing and election. When we asked why they wanted a date so far away, they told us it was not so that they would not interfere with National Nurses Week. When we pointed out the National Nurses Week was actually on the week they had chosen, the hospital said they had planned on celebrating a week early. Management's vague response that all nurses be included also left us with many questions about who they expected in the bargaining unit. We asked them to clarify, and we asked that the election be held a week earlier, but they would not budge. They threatened that if we did not sign the stipulated agreement, they would make sure that the unit determination hearing be lengthy and difficult. They threatened to raise issues of supervisory status and casual employment status, and made it clear that we would not get an election anytime soon if we did not agree to their terms. Reluctantly, we agreed. The Excelsior list that the hospital provided on April 12 did not include any job titles, worksite information, or reasonable contact information. There were people on the list we had never heard of. We asked the hospital to clarify, but they refused. We had to drive all over the state to find these nurses. When we finally tracked them down, we found 39 of them were supervisors or not eligible to vote. We even discovered 3 who were not RNs. Under the proposed rules, we would have had received a clear list of eligible voters on April 4th. With phone numbers and email addresses of other nurses, we would have had a real ability to communicate in private, away from the intimidation and pressure of managers. We would not have had to wait 44 days for an opportunity to vote. By the time workers get to the stage of filing, they have had plenty of time to make up their mind. Including such an excessive bureaucratic delay only discourages workers from exercising their right to bargain collectively. Incidentally, during the 44 days between the filing and the election, management flooded our hospital with anti-union literature. They pulled nurses from their work and lectured them about the perils of joining together. At one point, 2 managers cornered me and pulled me into a storage room and pressured me to stop talking to other nurses. The hospital used the 44 days to create a high-pressure atmosphere. It was a long and difficult process. I am grateful we were able to hold together long enough. The rules should be changed so that no other nurses have to wait for their rights to be recognized. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brady. Mr. Linton?
Madam Lieberman, thank you very much, board members, for the opportunity to appear here. My name is David Linton. I'm a professor of communication arts at Marymount Manhattan College. I'm also the president of the New York State Conference of the American Association of University Professors. I'm appearing here at the invitation of the American Federation of Teachers and their New York affiliate, New York State United Teachers. Marymount Manhattan College is a small school with a very modest endowment. We are largely tuition-driven in our financial arrangements. Therefore, it came as a surprise that the administration hired an expensive law firm that ended up costing the school well over $1 million in a failed attempt to break a collective bargaining drive that the clerical and support staff had instigated. Despite over a year and a half of hearings and delays, that's 18 months from filing to election, the staff voted by a margin of 65 to 27 to unionize. During that time, the administration frequently redirected the workload of nearly a dozen administrators, including 4 vice presidents, to meetings, hearings, and strategy sessions aimed at defeating the drive or dragging out the process. For 25 years, I have been a faculty leader as well as a mid-level administrator, as I was chair of the Humanities Division of the college for 15 years. Because of my knowledge of the history and the employment practices and general operations of the college, I was invited to testify before the Labor Board by the Union Committee. I testified for 3 long sessions. There were a total of 46 days of protracted hearings in all. Much of the time that I was testifying was taken up with questions as to whether my part-time administrative assistant was actually a supervisor or boss, because she directed our work-study students as to when they should go to copy machines or to pick up the mail. The administration's attorney repeatedly contended that since the work-study students were somehow employees and that my assistant told them when to copy a syllabus, that made her a boss. I was struck by the irony of this approach, since at other institutions, law firms were arguing that graduate assistants and teaching assistants could not be considered employees and therefore were not eligible to unionize because they were students. May I have an extra minute just to finish, please? Thank you. Meanwhile, not only did the drawn-out process have a demoralizing effect on the staff, it also took employees, those administrators who were working to defeat the union drive, but also the staff members who were being called to attend mandatory anti-union sessions, away from their real jobs of providing the best possible education to our tuition-paying customers, our students. This is what I believe Professor Kaplan previously referred to as a negative productive impact. As I said, we're a small school with about 100 staff members, an equal number of faculty, and about 2,300 students. It's inconceivable that it should take so long and cost so much to settle a collective bargaining election at places like ours. Thank you very much.
For being here today and sharing your thoughts with us. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.